Cool. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We're going to wait a couple minutes for more people to hop on.
How is this looking, Esther?
It looks good to me.
Awesome.
Or you might want to put it in full window presentation mode because I can see your computer screen.
We looking good now?
Perfect.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm happy to control. Just let me know when you're ready to get going. But looks like we have about a few more people who have jumped on. Do you want to wait a few more minutes before getting started?
No, I think we should just go for it.
Jump in.
Yeah,
Let's
6
do it.
o'clock. Um, do we need to record?
It's auto recording. Yes.
Okay, great.
I mentioned that
Thank
it
you.
is this webinar is being recorded. And a link will be shared with all the participants afterward tomorrow. I'll be posting it to Union Hall's YouTube where it will be archived. And you can also find a link on our website after tomorrow as well.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Esther Hernandez. I'm the chief curator at Union Hall. I've been there for about 3 years now. And I have the lovely job of working with the Rough Gems curators and offering a space for mentorship and working alongside them. Yeah.
And
Jeff.
I'm Jess Diaz. I'm the gallery and marketing manager. I handle all of the digital media from newsletters and social online to email contact. I also assist Esther with some of the vinyl design for exhibitions, gallery guides, any design needs. And so we will both be working with you pretty closely. My part more so essentially as much as the curators would like to be involved in marketing, they can be. That is not a particular requirement of the program. Some curators prefer to be really hands-on with marketing content, and others prefer to let me take the lead, and either one is totally fine.
Thanks, Jess. We are excited to talk about Rough Gems tonight. This are We've made a few changes to the program that we're excited to share, and we'll get to those later. But first of all, for those of you who don't know much about Union Hall or what Rough Gems is, I'll just go into a really brief, quick explanation. Union Hall is a nonprofit art space located in downtown Denver near Union Station. And we have been open since 2019 and predominantly exist to support local artists, local emerging curators, and sorry. Um, yeah, to share the work of the local community. Rough Gems has existed since about 2019 as well, or did Rough Gems start in 2020, Jess?
Applications open in 2019, but the first exhibitions were in 2020.
Okay. Yeah. And ever since we've been kind of honing the program and trying to make it better every year. I'm really excited to just be able to, we've extended the exhibition length this year from 4 weeks to 6 weeks, and we've kind of spread exhibitions out throughout the year. So it's less of a hustle and there's more time and space to really focus on the craft and what you're doing, and for us as well on our end. Let's go ahead and go to the second slide.
I will also mention that we'll be taking Q&A at the end after our presentation portion. But for the time being, you're welcome to leave questions from the top of your head in the webinar chat if you don't want to hold on to them mentally, and we'll get to them afterward. Yeah.
If you've never been to the space, this is kind of an image of what our space looks like from the main retail floor in the Coloradan building. So we can be a little hard to find. Can you go ahead and pop the next slide on?
Yes. It's part of the charm, though.
Yeah, it is kind of, someone has described it as an art speakeasy before. So these are some of our values. These are some of the things that we look for in terms of bringing exhibitions or artists into the space: innovation, inclusivity, impact, and inspiration. I personally love a lot of experimental contemporary work. Since we're a nonprofit, we're not focused on making or showing work that we're trying to sell to collectors. And so a lot of the work that we're showing is really social, has a lot of social impact, really has a strong statement, is really pointing to things that are going on in the world, and yeah, social topics. Okay, can you go ahead and and then what is Rough Gems? Rough Gems is a curatorial program where we are offering guest curators a 6-week exhibition slot on our calendar. And so it is a juried opportunity. We will post our jury members really soon on the website, so you can get a look at who's going to be looking at your applications. But it is an open call. And what else? And it's going to be in our space.
Yes. And the jury members are going to comprise of Esther, other board members of Union Hall who have assisted with the jury process in the last few years, former Rough Gems curators, and others in the local arts community within the Denver area who have expertise in curation and art direction. Ready to move on?
Yes.
Sweet.
So what does Union Hall provide for this opportunity? We offer a stipend for the curators of $1,000, up to 2 curators per exhibition, stipends of $300 for each artist. And we are hoping, we want you to curate an exhibition with at least 4 artists, 4 to 6. 6 is the max. We offer curatorial mentorship, so there's going to be weekly meetings with the staff members to kind of not weekly, only weekly, like a month or 2 before the exhibition opens, but regular meetings, general guidance, planning, exhibition layout support. We have a whole lot of documents that we will share with you that you can use as a template for planning the exhibition. We work with you on things like layout. There's a lot of collaboration involved. Jess does a lot of the social media, the marketing, and the press outreach. And so the Rough Gems curator will be working alongside Jess to push those materials out. It's very much a collaboration. And then we do support with installation staff. So we have a contractor that we work with that will come in and help install the exhibition professionally. to our standards. And if that's something that, you know, as an emerging curator, you want to learn more about, there's that opportunity as well to learn how to hang certain kinds of work professionally. There's access to Union Hall's space, our tools, our resources. We also offer vinyl exhibition techs, so we will pay for those. This year we are doing artwork labels on the wall. If you're familiar with Union Hall, you know that historically we have not done art labels on the wall, and we've printed a gallery guide that people then walk around the space with. But this year, we're changing it up. We did artwork labels for our last exhibition, Oracle, and we really loved that experience. And I feel like it allows people to stay engaged with the work rather than to kind of avert their eyes and look at a piece of paper. So we're going to continue with artwork labels and digital gallery guides. And then we also have a professional photographer that comes in and takes pictures of the exhibition and each individual artwork, which is something that is then shared with the artist and shared with the curator. The guest curator has full use of the facilities, walls, pedestals, shelves, furniture, technology. We have, I think, 3 TVs, 2 projectors, 4 pedestals, several shelves. We also have furniture, you know, that is people can utilize to make the space more cozy. And then we also offer support during the programmed events that you will schedule in conjunction or in collaboration with us. And obviously we staff the gallery during hours and during the programming that is connected to the Rough Gems exhibitions. Jess, is there anything that you want to add here?
Yeah, maybe I'll just provide a bit more context on Union Hall. The program was really initially designed for curators. We support artists year-round through visual art exhibitions and events that happen throughout the year, upwards of 50 to 60 different events, and collaborate with over 100 different individuals every year. And this program in specific, when looking at the landscape of offerings and opportunities available to artists, there was a kind of a gap in opportunities similarly offered for curators, specifically new and emerging curators, people with little to no experience. And so Union Hall designed Rough Gems to primarily support new and emerging curators, and through those curators allow a broader range of artistic voices to then be supported through their exhibitions and their visions. And so it is the first and only mentorship program dedicated to emerging curators in the state of Colorado. And we're very proud of that. And annually, we try to increase curator stipends, which it has not been the case, but this year, very excited to have increased the curator stipends from $900 to $1,000. So that is kind of an extra incentivized bump just to kind of keep up with not only wage guidelines, working artists for the greater economy, but just to align with all of the economic activity going on at this time, and the increased kind of capacity that we understand we're asking from these curators that we're bringing on and working with. We are not an accredited museum. Union Hall is a nonprofit. We're 1,700 square feet of exhibition space, and we're not exactly DIY either. Esther and I are employees. We are going to be working alongside you. As mentioned, there's an installation expert contracted to assist and teach installation methods. And so you're not going to be, as a guest curator, left to your own devices and expected to do things on your own. This is a highly collaborative process, if we haven't mentioned that a few times already. So just wanted to provide kind of a bit more of a foundation of where we stand in terms of the arts landscape in Denver and beyond.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that was super helpful since we did kind of skim through it. Um, okay, yeah, and so with that in mind, these are the things that Union Hall provides in terms of the program. And if you want to go ahead and scroll to the next few images, and you can kind of just scroll through these. These are some of our previous Rough Gems exhibitions that have existed in the space. We usually keep the walls the same color, our signature kind of like charcoal black color. And then we also have these kind of L-shaped movable walls that the curators can paint if they want to, or have a mural painted on them, or that would be like the opportunity for where the color would go. So if that's something that you were wondering about, there's also, we have really amazing lights. As you can see, these lights are sort of similar to theatrical lighting. And that's another aspect of the program. If you're interested in learning how to use the lights, that's something that we can also support and teach with. And then, like we said before, the artists, the number of artists that we're looking for in the applications is anywhere from 4 to 6. Local artists are preferred. We have a very small stipend for shipping. And so it's just easier to work with local artists unless there's a piece that you really want, from out of town. I think that is something that can be workable, granted that the shipping is limited to $350 round trip. And then a lot of people tend to ask about photography and whether printing is available or not. We don't really, being a small nonprofit, a small young nonprofit, it's hard for us to have that kind of funding to print a lot of photography. So we really don't offer that. A lot of previous curators have printed through their university or printed on their own, but it is extremely limited to what's left over in the budget. And that budget item is something that we'll talk more in depth about, but we don't expect you to draft a budget up for the application. But we do encourage all mediums and all types of work. Music, video, dance, performance. We have some incredible projectors in the space that can be used in really innovative ways. We have one that can be angled down to the floor if that's something that you're looking to experiment with. Our space is also just very dark and conducive to a lot of digital and video work. We can control, the windows and how much light comes into the space. And then again, layout is created in collaboration with Union Hall. And if you have never been to Union Hall, but you're interested, right now we're in between shows, so we don't have anything open and we can't really offer tours, but you can attend the happy hour event, which is another version of the info session. It's just more casual. That will have previous Rough Gems alum that you can come and talk to them and kind of check out the space. So that's kind of the opportunity to come see the space in real life and ask questions from the previous Rough Gems curators. And then again, marketing is created in collaboration with Union Hall. Okay, is there anything you want to say really quick, Jess, about those images or any of the past work or anything that I brought up?
Yes. As Esther mentioned, we can't offer individual tours of the gallery right now, but the happy hour on October 14th is a really great way to see the space. And if you can't attend that, there are many images of all of the past Rough Gems exhibitions on unionhalldenver.org. So we encourage you to check those past Rough Gems exhibitions out online, read the statements, look at the images, get inspiration where you can. And we actually will have a pop-up activation with Denver Digerati and a Boulder-based film organization, Mimesis, opening this Friday on October 3rd. So it was a very quick project pop-up that has come together very quickly. And so if you'd like to see our TVs and projectors in action, it's mainly digital based. And it will be at Union Hall through October 17th. So you can come in during gallery hours. And as an alternative method to displaying photography, the TVs and projectors are really great tools at your disposal if you are considering photography but don't have access to a printer.
Yes, good point. Okay, cool. We can dive in a little bit to a little bit of the nitty-gritty in the application requirements and materials. You can find all of this online as well. And we also have a web page that has FAQs on it in case you want to read through some of those, but we can also answer some of those questions later tonight. So really quickly, I just want to mention that in the application requirement, we're not asking for references and there's no portfolio review, and you don't have to have prior experience to apply for this opportunity. You can simply be, a creative or an artist who's interested in seeing if curation is for you, seeing if it's something that you're interested in, seeing if it's something that you're good at, or that you would like to experience. And like I said before, this is open to all artistic formats, new media, performance, visual arts, dance. And then also historically, you applicants have about a 20 to 25% chance of being accepted. And we're hoping to grow our pool of applicants and our reach. Although it's local, we're still somewhat of a new organization and people are still finding out about Rough Gems. And then one of the requirements is that you have to be 18 years old, but that's it. And then oh, sorry, Jess, were you going to say something?
Well, yes, but my dog's barking in the background, so I'll just preface with that. Yeah, just to say that there is no age restriction on proposed artists. We did a few years ago implement the 18 or older limitation on proposed curators on the projects. There's no age cap, so this is not specifically for younger applicants. There you could be any age over 18. Yes, just wanted to add that in there.
Thank you. And then like we said before, this is a program that's for emerging curators, so you don't have to have a lot of experience. How do we define emerging? I think anyone who feels like they want the institutional knowledge and the support to further their career is an emerging curator. Okay, let's go through some of these application requirements. This is a Google form this year, which is a first for us. We haven't done this before. So you'll be asked a few questions that'll just kind of determine your eligibility right off the bat. And then we will ask for a written summary that outlines the exhibition concept and goals. We're hoping to keep it fairly short. We mostly are looking for what does the art look like, what is the art, and what might the exhibition mean to you. And then we're also looking for a couple programs. So there's going to definitely be an artist talk connected to the Rough Gems exhibition. And then we also ask curators to come up with their own program idea that they think would be fun and innovative and something that would connect to the exhibition. And you can come up with a few ideas, and then if the proposal gets accepted, then we collaboratively choose the one that we feel like would be the most successful, or that you're most interested in. We will ask for a curator bio and all bios from all of the artists as well. And then we will ask for a list of budgetary considerations. Although this is not required, we're not looking for a full budget, since that's something that we like to kind of mentor in the program, talk about how to do a budget and what that looks like. We will ask though for an idea of what you think that you need for things like shipping. Or if you feel like, oh, I do want to print something, would I be able to do this? Or if you know that you're hanging something that's very unusually shaped and you might need some special hardware, we want to know that kind of thing. We also, want to know what the program might cost. Like if you want to bring in a facilitator, what does that facilitator need? What kind of materials might they need to work with that we might need to buy? And anything else that is very specific to your exhibition concept. We cover a lot of the general things, we buy the paint, the tools, the general kind of hardware, but anything that you are noticing that is just kind of out of the ordinary or really special or unique to your exhibition that you're going to need support with, like we want to know those things. And then we also really want to know, based on your availability throughout the year, which exhibition slot you prefer, because we want to work with you and your availability and make it easy for the curator. And the things that you will need to attach to the Google form, 15 images, 5 to 15, really. Your curator CV. You don't have to have a lot of curatorial experience. Just put any creative work or creative experience, or any experience that you want to share in there. And then any links to videos or audio that you can put in the PDF that we can look at if there's any work that's just beyond the visual scope. So that's just kind of like the general overview. And then in terms of, oh, go ahead.
You mentioned paint for the vinyl wall, and I will just share with folks that cans of paint or painting materials would preferably be listed in your budgetary considerations for under installation needs.
Yes, when you create a budget, but we're really just looking for those special out of the box things that you might need for you to list. But it's not required. The basic stuff, you don't need to list the basic stuff that we're supplying. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but painting could be basic or it could be extravagant.
It could. That's very true. So if you're going to come in and have an artist paint something on one of the moving walls, that's something to consider, right? Like what color paint, how much, etc. And then in terms of putting this proposal together, a question we get asked a lot is, okay, well, I have these 6 artists. Do I need to tell them that I'm including them in this proposal? And the answer is if you want to, you can. A lot of the curators do because they communicate with them and say, hey, can I get some images of this work that I really love of yours? I'm submitting this proposal. It may or may not get accepted. I'll keep you posted. And it's a really nice way to just kind of like communicate and meet artists that you don't know, or connect with friends that are artists and just let them know that you're applying for this. So you can let them know, but just for the record, nothing is confirmed until the proposal is fully accepted and approved by Union Hall. And
And
a lot of times, oh, go ahead.
no, you first.
Just gonna say a lot of times even the proposals that get accepted, though sometimes the exhibitions look a bit different. A lot of adjustments might need to be made for a proposal, just based on how to make it more feasible with our budget and with what our capacity is. So sometimes there's just changes that need to be made, unexpected outcomes, unexpected things happen. Sometimes an artist will have an emergency and have to back out, or an artist isn't available to be in the show. And so the show looks different. There's always changes, there's always shifts. I think that's part of the process, is kind of learning how to manage those changes as they come up.
Yes. Yes. Just to reiterate that the artists are selected at the time that your proposal is submitted. And as Esther said, if someone has to back out or can't commit to the exhibition date, then we'll cross that bridge when we get there. If your proposal is selected, and either help you fill that slot, or you can decide with Esther if maybe you want to just reduce your artist list from 6 to 5 or 5 to 4, for example. And just to highlight this one note, since I don't think we've mentioned it yet in this info session, that curators who propose themselves as curators in this project cannot include their own artwork in their exhibitions. We are really trying to define the roles within this program to be specifically for a curator, and it might be a conflict if you propose your own artwork in an exhibition for a variety of reasons. But if you have specific questions on why we do that, we're happy to dive deeper into that. But part of the eligibility questionnaire, which we've added for the first time this year into the Google Form application, which is also new this year, is to help you better understand what our requirements are before you get into the thicker nitty-gritty details of the application.
Yeah, there's a few questions that are just really based on the application requirements. I just want to cover those really quickly before we move on.
Yeah.
How extensive should artist bios be? Sorry, there's a loud car. Artist bios should be very short. I think we're looking at 100 to 200 words or something like that. That's about how I think what we asked for last year, and I think we're keeping it about the same. And can supplemental programming events include performance art? Yes, absolutely. Okay, yeah, those are the two I wanted to address really quick before we move on.
What was the first one again?
How extensive should artist bios be?
Right. So I can't remember off the top of my head the word count on the application. But if your proposal is selected, I confirm with curators and artists their bios, headshots, social links, website handles, all of the things, website links and social handles. That's what I meant to say before it gets published on Union Hall's website. So while it may be a super condensed version for the application, it can be extended and edited, even reduced to the artists and curators' desire afterward.
Yes, great point. Cool. What's the next slide?
I think, let's see, criteria.
Okay. What are we looking for? So, we're looking for something aesthetically that has aesthetic and conceptual appeal. That can be very subjective, obviously. We're looking for supplementary program that enhances our programming at Union Hall, and then also something that's realistic and feasible. So these are kind of the things that we're looking for as jury members, specifically in terms of aesthetic and conceptual appeal. We're also looking for things that align with Union Hall's mission and values, and something that really will be a lovely addition to the exhibition programs that we already have scheduled. For instance, if we have a big photography show coming up, and there's a lot of photography in one of the applications, we'll just want to make sure that like everything's flowing in 2026. If it makes sense to have another photography show, we might do it. If it doesn't, we might pass on something like that. So it doesn't necessarily mean that that application wasn't a great application. It just means that it didn't flow with the 2026 exhibition calendar year. And then a few other things. What's the next slide, Jess? I can't remember. Oh yeah, layout. Great. So while we don't require you to create a layout, this is just what the layout looks like when I'm working on the layout for an exhibition from the bird's eye view. You can see the kind of L-shaped walls, those move around. You have the two projectors that you can kind of move around. And then there's a pillar here in the middle of the room. Like Jess said, this is 1,700 square feet. There's several windows down kind of at the bottom. Jess is circling them right now. We have some electrical panels in the space that take up some wall space. And so, of course, this is obviously, going to need to be a collaborative process with Union Hall, since we know the space and the floor plan really well. But if you feel like you want to take a stab at creating a layout, we love to see it if that's something you're interested in doing. And if not, it's not going to dock points off from your application at all by any means.
Esther,
Yeah,
but do we have the exhibition planned for 2026 outside of Ref Gems?
not yet.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I mean, it might be the case that we don't have them planned until after we review Rough Gems applications.
Cool. Just to say for people listening, don't be worried about what we might be doing next and if it might overlap with your concept. More than likely it won't, is what we're getting at. But do go back and look at our recently past, or I should just say our past exhibitions, most recently past exhibitions on our website, just to get a sense of what we've currently been working on and showcasing. Make sure your concept doesn't align closely with something that we've recently shared with the public.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Okay, we're gonna get into reviewing expectations. So the things that we'll expect the Rough Gems curators to do would be to select artists and communicate with Union Hall, and to develop a curatorial theme and statement in collaboration with Union Hall to collaborate with Union Hall regarding shipping, budget, marketing and layout details. And then we also expect the curator to develop and participate the programming for their own exhibition. So the artist talk and whatever the supplemental program ends up being. If it's performance art, we would expect you to kind of, manage that artist and set up the space, etc. We expect the curator to assist with installation and then also de-installation and to help us schedule the artwork drop off and pickup. And also to kind of do some closing tasks with us, such as a brief exit survey or an interview. We might ask you as well to do some marketing videos or share about your experience as well. And then in terms of time commitments, we have a Rough Gems orientation that's going to be held in December, the 7th, the 8th, or the 9th. We're kind of waiting based on what the availability of the curators will be. And then also expect the curator to show up for the opening reception of their exhibition, obviously. We'd love to see them support the other Rough Gems curators as well. We do think of this as a cohort, and we love to see and create community around the 2026 cohort. And we also expect the curator to show up for the installation and the de-installation for the curatorial talk, the supplemental event, and commit to regular meetings with the chief curator and the staff and the one meeting in December. And so that's kind of and this is all listed in on our website.
Yes, under the FAQ page.
And then also if there is a time conflict, you can also communicate that with us upon acceptance, and we're willing to work with those restrictions or those conflicts. And then so somebody's asking when are applicants chosen and notified about the selection? So yeah, let's get to that. That timeline looks like, so there we go. The jury will convene the week of November 10th, and then there's going to be a decision made the week of November 17th. Or sorry, then we'll notify everybody of the decisions the week of November 17th. And then the curator orientation will start December 7th, 8th, or the 9th based on availability. And then if you want to come to the happy hour info session, that's going to be held on October 14th at 6 p.m. in our physical space. We'll have some drinks, some music. People will be hanging out and chatting. It will be very casual. Maybe a brief introduction and a brief talk, and that would be it. Yeah, I think that we're good to take more questions. Let's see what we have here. If the concept contains performance artists, how often are you looking for them to perform? Nightly, during open hours, or would something weekly be okay? I think we've had performance artists in the past, and we've had them just perform one night based on the capacity of the staff and the space. We also have the ability to show video of performance in the space. If the curator is interested in having performance more regular, that's something that we can talk about and that we can work with.
Yeah, I think the question needs maybe a bit of clarification on if the performer would be coming in for just a one night programming event in alignment with their exhibition, if the performance is physically in the space as a part of the exhibition experience, or if even we've had curators in the past who have combined the opening reception event with their additional supplemental program and had the performer dance or sing or recite poetry, for example, at the opening reception. So it kind of combined two of the events into one. But yeah, that would be something that would be taken into consideration in your proposal. And another good place to outline budgetary considerations for stipends surrounding payment for that performers. Esther, would you suggest maybe for the application in the programmatic event section, one or two variations of what a physical performance might look like?
I mean, if you have access to any kind of video or photos, like we'd love to see a visual representation of what that could look like. And then in terms of the organization of when is this happening, how many times, et cetera, like, yes, please, expound upon that, expound upon like what you would love to see happen ultimately. Like what's your vision, your dream? We want to know what you want to do, how you want to do it, and what your vision is ultimately. And if it ends up being something that we really love and the proposal gets accepted, but we have a certain capacity or we have to pare it down, then we'll communicate that with you as well. And with performance, there's so many different ways to do performance. There's so many different ways to show it, and to have it in the space. Some performance artists use a lot of objects, and those objects can be on display in the gallery as part of the work once the performance has completed. And then, like Jess said previously, we have TV. So if the performance is recorded and that's something that we want to show in the space, we can obviously do that. There's also projectors, which can be part of the performance as well. I mean, really, we want to see what you want to do. We want to see innovative, fun, playful ideas. I personally adore and love performance. I want to see more performance in our space. So we're totally open to it. Yeah. I
Yes.
hope that answers the question.
I know, yeah, because there's so many ways to answer this. If the performance is physically in the space, for more than just a one night programmatic event, if it's a part of the exhibition more largely, and or if it's a video recording of a performance, that those two examples would be uses of how that those situations would count towards one of your 6 artists. Does that make sense? Whereas if it's a one night performance for your supplemental programming, that can also be one of your 6 artists. You can kind of double dip in that way. But they do not have to be, those things aren't usually exclusive. Like you can have a performance that's just a programmatic event. You can have a performer that counts as one of your 2 one of your 6 artists or 2 of your 6 artists, for example. Does that make sense to you, Esther?
Mhm.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm not able to see the Q&A, so I can't see who asked that question, but if you have more clarifying.
They said it, and we did answer
Okay.
the question.
Okay, thank goodness. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
probably just like ranting on then for way too long afterward.
probably. Does anyone else have any questions? Other questions?
I see one more in the Q&A, which I'm not able to pull up because I'm sharing my screen. Do you see that?
It says thank you. It does answer the question.
Okay.
So I'll close that one out.
There was one earlier that you said you didn't want to answer right away. Should we go back to that one?
I think it was the one about the review timeline. So when will people be notified?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um, And then we can, if we have a little more time, I can kind of pull up the FAQs really quickly.
Yeah, I'll just stop sharing.
So like we said, if you're the curator and you want to curate an exhibition, you cannot submit your own artwork in the proposal if you're acting as the curator for the show. Previous Rough Gems curators, we don't, if you're interested in applying or feel like you need mentorship or support in that way again, please, we'd love to hear from you. Please contact us. Do we accept applications from artist collectives? We're not accepting applications from artist collectives at this time, but we're happy to work with 2 curators at a time. And we do have a couple of previous Rough Gems exhibitions that were double curated. The Ultimate Boon was one show. I can't remember the other shows because I don't think I was here.
Right. I think Esther, you're reviewing the co-curated exhibitions.
Mhm.
Oh, yes. I think we've had 2 or 3 that were co-curated.
Mhm.
And just as a reminder, if you're proposing a co-curated exhibition between 2 people, both of those curators would each receive the $1,000 stipend. That would not be split between 2 people.
Yes, exactly. Can artists create new work for your exhibition, for this exhibition application? We discourage the creation of new artwork for Rough Gems exhibitions. And we ask that you look for pre-existing work, solely because although this does happen, artists will, by the time the curator is getting back around to communicating that with them, the artist might have, be making something that's perfect for the exhibition and it can go in the show. But because we're not paying artists a material stipend, we're really just paying them a stipend to do a little bit of admin work and to be in the exhibition. We don't want to ask them to create new work because we're very cognizant of just the exploitation involved in the arts. We really want to keep things equitable and sustainable. And since that's kind of where we're at budget wise, that's what we have to work with.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll also add to that that the stipend is meant to pay curators and artists for their time. They're meant to live off of that stipend. It's not meant to produce new work for the simple fact that showing existing work is appreciated enough on our part. And we think that you shouldn't have to do any more work when it comes to exhibiting your work in a space, especially such as Union Hall, where we don't heavily promote sales. That's not to say that artwork sales don't happen at Union Hall. They do, just not frequently. And so the stipend is a form of really gratitude and like life payment, less of a transaction in terms of the artists. The curators is a different story. They have a much higher stipend because they are expected to do a lot more work in this program, but we would just like you to hold on to your stipend and keep it however you see fit. That's not to say that we can't stop you from, we really can't stop you from using it on new materials and creating work at the end of the day.
Thanks, Jess. We do have a couple more questions. So Leo is asking if you were thinking of having a split show where work is shown in two separate locations, one of them being Union Hall, is there a way to help market the secondary location through Union Hall's socials, brochures, or other means? I'll let you answer this one, Jess.
I think this is a much more complex question beyond marketing. This question also involves collaboration outside of Union Hall. It might mean Esther collaborating more largely with another gallery director or another gallery curator. So we might have to get a broader sense of, hey, relax. Sorry, my dog's whining for it's her dinner time. She'll be all right though. Yes, it's just a larger conversation around what your exhibition concept looks like. If there's another space already on board, who else would be involved? How much additional communication and collaboration would be required from myself or Esther? What sort of funding, if any, is involved? But a collaborative exhibition across locations is something that I've always envisioned for Union Hall and that I'm personally very excited at the prospect of potentially working on. It's really just a matter of the commitments already in place and what our capacity would have to what our commitments and capacity would have to be in terms of the requirements for that collaboration. But if at the end of the day everything works out and we're all on board and it is a great idea, I'm happy to market the second location. That's not a problem at all from a purely marketing standpoint.
So this person says, I'm hoping to apply to the Denver Capital Arts Program. So they have a system set up to accommodate artists and curators. That's interesting. I actually haven't heard of that program. Um, but please share the details with us in the application if there's any additional funding that you're bringing in. Yeah, let us know. That's another thing, I guess, to include in budgetary concerns. And
Yeah,
then,
I've heard of the program, but I'm not super familiar with it.
yeah,
Um, I really think you should just apply for the program, and if your exhibition concept is really strong and the jury is really stoked on your list of artists, then and you're accepted, then it seems like then we'll probably find a way to make it work. But it would be a very first for us. So also maybe just keep that in mind if you are accepted, that this would be new territory for likely everybody involved.
true, true. If a sale occurs, how does that work? So if somebody wants to come in and buy a piece of work, at this moment in time or in the past, we have not facilitated sales. We've really just connected the artists with the buyer and allowed them to kind of interact directly, and we did not take a percentage. However, this year there's a new model being worked on right now. So that's a great question. I don't know what that's going to look like moving forward, but we will have some answers um, in the next month or two, because that's something that's changing for us. We have traditionally in the past not dealt with sales, but we're um, building out a new model for that.
Right. What we've done is we haven't really had a solid policy in place until now, which we're rethinking. But me as the gallery and marketing manager, I'm the person on site daily who is operating gallery hours, opening and closing. And so I'm interacting with visitors. And if someone expresses, in the past, if someone had expressed interest, I would connect them directly with the artist through the artist's preferred form of communication. And then the artist would have been responsible for facilitating sales, shipping, and handling from that point on. like Esther mentioned, that is likely going to change, and we don't know exactly what that looks like right now. But we're interested in possibly acquiring a percentage of commission from artwork sales, which we don't know when or if that will start around the time of Rough Gems. So yeah, we don't have a clear answer for you right now. But if you'd like to check back in closer to if it's a really important piece for your artists to know about before they commit to the program, check back in closer to the deadline, and we'll hopefully have a better response for you.
And just to let you know, I mean, we are located inside of a residential building. So we're on the main commercial floor, and then residents live above us. And we do have residents that come into the space to look at work. Residents have bought artwork from artists in our space in the past. So it is something that has happened and can very well happen. Um, and then if you don't have any more questions, our application deadline is October 27th at 11:59, so right at midnight. And yeah, just please, if you want to come check out the space, if you've never been in the space, please join us on October 14th, 6 p.m. We'd love to meet you, introduce yourself. It's a really fun way to meet other people that are interested in doing the same thing, and to meet a couple of our alum who have done this before, who are very willing and happy to share what their experience was like, what their exhibition was about, and what they're doing now.
Can we share names of the Rough Gems alumni that will be there?
It's going to be Ray Richardson, who exhibited last year, and Nathan,
Nathan
gosh,
Story. Yeah. Oh, Nate. Okay, great. So both from 2025. Ray Richards curated Trans Navigation Coming into the Body as Home. And Nathan Story curated an exhibition right after Ray called Ruins Performing Queer History. So will it be them too?
yes. Mhm.
Okay, great. Yeah. So those will be our guests for the evening. It is a happy hour, but there will be NA beverages for those of you that would prefer not to partake in alcohol. Esther and myself will be there. It's a great way to check out the space, ask Ray and Nathan about their experience, ask Esther and I questions. Yeah, we encourage you to RSVP on Union Hall's website. It's an Eventbrite link, but just show up too.
And one last question. Can prints and merchandise be sold in association with the exhibit? Yes, and we have before. However, just know that it's a lot of work. Putting together an exhibition is a lot of work, and there does come a point in the process where it almost feels like a bottleneck of work, and you're really pushing so much out at once that sometimes that last piece of getting merchandise and prints can sometimes fall by the wayside and be an afterthought for a lot of people who intended to do that. So just be aware of the workload and what your capacity is. But we have sold prints before. We love selling prints. We love having them in the space. And so, yes.
Yeah, I think Sierra, if one of the merch or the prints can be artworks in and of themselves by the artists, and they can also be in addition to an artist's proposed artwork, if that makes sense. So like you can have an artist who is showcasing two photographs and they want to also sell prints. If they provide me with an inventory list, for example, and pricing and like provide a QR code. That makes it really easy for me to help promote those prints online, in person. We don't necessarily at the moment promote sales on our platforms because that's not how Union Hall has operated in the past from a more commercial standpoint. But yeah, two ways to really to work through that is if the merch is a physical artwork and is also for sale, or if the artist also has merch and just wants to try to display it on the side of the gallery, not necessarily as a part of the exhibition. I hope that makes sense.
Thanks, Jess. Okay, maybe one last question. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for everyone who said thank you. Um, hopefully we get to meet you on the 14th. If not, we really look forward to checking out your application and your cool ideas. And yeah, we wish you well and we hope you have a really good night. And thank you.
Yes.
Thanks again.
And as always, if you have any other questions, either attend the happy hour info session or send us an email at info@unionhalldenver.org. And we'll get to that as fast as we can. But otherwise, take care, everybody.
Bye.